Wish TV is proud to honor teachers in Central Indiana.
She is an inspiration to all of us.
He's always smiling.
Who go above and beyond.
He's done so many things for so many people.
He's inspirational.
Making a difference.
He's always taught me to believe in myself and never get down on myself.
Everybody's biggest cheerleader.
And deserving of recognition for their outstanding efforts in education.
I love the people that I work with. And to know that I've made an impact on somebody's life, it is truly a great honor.
It's an honor. I love what I do, and the kids are the ones who make it work. I'm like just so taken aback because I love them so much. The fact that, you know, they love me just as much just means a lot. Sorry, you're going to have to cut that part out.
And you are our winner.
Oh, thank you so much.
From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Golden Apple Awards Podcast, sponsored by WGU.
Hey everyone, Hannah Mordeau here. December's winner is Mrs. Angela Grace, aka Coco. She's new to teaching and started out as just an active parent in Warren Township. Now she's in the transition to teaching program and teaches STEM to middle school students. Almost 50 of those kids nominated her for the Golden Apple Award. It comes with a trophy, a school supply shopping spree, a surprise visit from our News 8 team, and new this year, a $2,000 cash prize. The surprise went really fast and was really emotional. So I brought Coco back here on the podcast. Mrs. Angela Grace, Coco, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So your story aired yesterday. What have you been hearing? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think like all of the attention from when you did the sneak peek the day before, and a lot of my family, older members follow you. So on Tuesday night, you put something up and I didn't know. So my godmother called me and she's like, "Are you on the news?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, I seen something from Miss Hannah on the news and I think that she's talking about you."
It was a good tease, man.
So Wednesday morning, my cousin called. She's away in school. And she called and she's like, "Hey, don't you work at Creston?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "I think you want to give." And I'm like, "Oh." So after yesterday of it airing, it's like all of the attention. I'm not really the type that likes a lot of like attention, but it's like all over the place. I have people calling me from out of town because my mom told my like older uncles and aunts and stuff. So they've been watching and following Wish TV 8, patiently waiting for it to air online so they could actually watch it at the same time.
Oh, good. Well, I'm sorry to throw so much attention at you, but you do deserve it for all that you do.
Thank you so much.
And I'm glad to hear our little like sneak teases. So I just did a little cell phone video Tuesday, then a 3-clue tease Wednesday, then had your big reveal on Thursday. But I'm glad it worked. People had an idea of who it was.
Yes.
So obviously this has been a lot. We went and surprised you. You didn't know we were coming. We want to be able to talk to you, though, without putting you on the spot. So that's kind of why we have this conversation. Your story was so interesting to me that you started really as just an active parent in the district. Tell me a little bit about how that all unfolded, because this timing was the pandemic.
Yes. So how it all happened, my dad passed away in May of 2018. Thank you. And at that time, he had custody of my nieces and nephews. It was 6 of them.
Wow.
So when that happened, that's the same time I left IPS from driving school buses. So they wouldn't be separated. I stood up and became a foster parent to them, plus my own 2 biological children.
Wow.
So at that moment in time, I'm like, I can't work, take care of 8 kids, be there at the church. I'm like, something has to happen. So I took a step out on faith and I told IPS, this would be my last year, which was June of 2018.
Okay.
So I did that. My husband at the time we were just dating. So at that time, the 3 older kids ended up moving with their dad because he was incarcerated. So he had got out, did what he had to do. They went with their dad. The younger 3 I kept. So it started from there. And I'm like, with my nephew having ADHD, needing that one-on-one parent time, always at the school because he stayed in trouble. And I'm like, this is driving me crazy. So when I got them, my boyfriend at the time, like I said, he was like, well, why don't you guys move over here with us? So I'm like, okay, I've never moved in with anybody. I've always been on my own. So we moved in and he was like, well, the district is Warren Township. And I'm like, okay. So I came up to the schools, check the schools out and everything like that, not only for them, but also for my kids to make sure it was a perfect match. So I just started calling the principal, hey, can I get involved? I'm a parent that likes to be involved, just like my parents were. And she was like, sure. So it went from there.
Yeah.
That's how it actually started. So with me doing that, she's like, Miss Wallace, you're here at all the time. We are looking for building subs. Would you mind just taking a chance? And I'm like, oh boy. Yeah. So it went from there and now we're here.
Well, clearly you are caring and able to connect and take care of kids. What a remarkable story of your own there with taking on so much responsibility. But then you went on to be a substitute. Now in the transition to teaching program, how has that been? You've taken on a full class now, 8th graders in the first semester, 7th graders in the second semester, teaching STEM. How has this transition been for you?
The transition right now is cool. However, my husband now, he's an over-the-road truck driver. So it's like through the week, I tell people all the time I'm a single parent through the week, and with the position that he has, he's home 5 days, off 2 days, home 5 days. I mean, off, vice versa.
Yeah,
so
he's gone 5 days, home 2 days.
Home 2 days, then he works 5, then he's off 3. So it's like on the weekends, his off days might be through the week. So it's like still no actual one-on-one time with my husband because if it's through the week, he's tired. I'm at the school, sports activities for the kids are at the church. So with the transition program, with me doing my study time, sometimes I don't even get to study till like after 10 at night.
Wow.
Studying, taking tests, just so happen I'm able to do it online. So it's a little easier and flexible versus me going into a building right now.
Wow. You have a lot that you're responsible for and a lot that you're fitting in and doing day to day, but you clearly are doing something right in the classroom. How do you think your method of teaching resonates with students? It seems like you are one of the teachers, Hannah, said you're real and raw with them.
Yes. So when she said that, I cracked up because like the students would be like, Miss Grace would go off on us and we lock in instantly. So I have 6 classes. The first 2 blocks are my favorite classes. Like they come in, they lock in. I never have to even get loud with them at all. However, 5th, 6th, and 7th period is like, okay, y'all. And I tell them all the time, I'm here because I want to be here, not because I need to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that, they be like, dang, Miss Grace, you rich. I said, no, I'm blessed. And I tell them that, and I give them background history stories of myself to see if that reels them in. And usually when I tell them my history of me going through school, whether it was grade school, middle school, or high school, they actually lock in. I let them know, let's get right for high school. Because I played around in high school. My mom and dad had to fight for me to graduate on time with my class because I took it for a joke. Not realizing middle school and elementary school, it was a slap on the wrist. They let you fly on by through your courses and that was that. But high school is real, and once I start talking to them about my life, and like I said, I open up, I give them my life. I'm an open book. Whatever they ask, I answer. They have questions and concerns. I try to answer it in the most professional way as I can when talking to a group of students, because I know sometimes students can take it and run with it depending on what the answer or question is.
Yeah.
So I break it down to them. I even do the work with them and I let them know because I took these STEM classes myself 2 summers ago. So I let them know I'm still learning with you guys. As I'm teaching you, I'm still learning because I took this class and said, yes, Dr. Naylon, I'll do it, not knowing nothing about STEM.
Yeah. Wow.
So when I took the classes last summer for STEM, I come in and I tell them, look, I'm still learning. It's hard for me too. I said, if I took a STEM test with what I'm teaching you, I probably wouldn't pass it either because I'm still learning with you guys. So when I sit down and I actually walk around, or I actually do work with them, I think they like the fact of me actually working with them versus me just grading their papers.
I think kids can feel that and know when you're being honest and real and showing your own vulnerability
Right.
makes them feel like they're ready to be vulnerable too, you know?
Right.
And so it does seem like you've found that so naturally. I think it also helps. Your class seems really fun. You guys do a lot of hands-on activities. What are some of the things you guys do in that STEM class?
So I allow them to build bridges. We do dissecting, we build houses, we do like light fixtures. Most of the time, like once I see that they're getting antsy and restless from book work, I'll let them go like 2 or 3 weeks with book work. And then I'm like, hey, y'all, let's pick a fun project to do. And so they start saying, hey, well, can we build a house like your class did last year? Or can we build a bridge? We did business plans right before fall break where they actually created their own business plan. How will we get this plan started? What will we do to keep our business going? And that turned out really great because they realized that in order to run a business, you have to be prepared for whatever may come your way.
Mm-hmm.
So that really worked out well. And I think a lot of them are looking at, oh, so when I start a hair business, you know, they did demonstrations, videos at home. We had bracelet businesses and they would do like a video clip of how to make the bracelet and everything like that. So different things to keep them entertained and focused. I try to bring into the classroom so they don't get bored and they look forward to coming back to my class.
I think that is an amazing way to approach the classroom and makes total sense. It looked like a lot of fun. I was so impressed with some of those houses actually in your classroom.
Yes.
And then they got all the furniture and whatnot too for them. It was really neat to see. You, interestingly enough, are somewhat of a perfect example of, I think in education, that schools are having to think outside the box to get teachers right now. We need teachers. We need substitutes. We don't have enough of them. You are an interesting example of that. How do you think people can learn from seeing your story if maybe they're not a teacher or if they've ever thought about going into education? I mean, what do you want people to know from your story in that realm?
You have to have an open mind with being an educator within itself. I say all the time, talking to my sisters, because my sisters are actually educators as well.
Interesting.
You know, yeah. So we come into a situation where we notice some teachers are really here for a paycheck to pay bills, not realizing some of these babies need that love and care just from an adult so they can have their safe place. I've met several students that I didn't know that's really in foster care in my classroom, and I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So when they talk and they're like, well, we just wish we could meet our parents, our real parents, you know, because they've been in foster care for so long. And then once they realize that 2 of my kids that they thought were my real kids, they're like, oh, so they'll talk to my daughter and they'll ask her, like, how's it like being a foster kid on your end versus my end? She said, well, I still see my mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know who my dad is, but you have to have an open mind with dealing with kids because you want to make sure they have that safe place. You don't know what they're going through every day at home when they go home if they're eating. I have several kids. Miss Grace, you got some snacks?
Yeah.
Miss Grace, you got some snacks? So, you know, I go out and I buy chips, stuff they like because at home they don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's strictly like veggie foods or something simple or probably just eating ramen noodles. I mean, I have kids that I've brung in like a whole meal because they're like, you know, we don't have this at home.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a love for children, first of all.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a love for children, I tell people all the time, children and senior citizens are my favorites. That middle age, I'm like, I don't want to fool with them, but children, I love children. You have to have a love for children in order to do what I do. If not, it would never work.
You can tell that you do have that love for children. I mean, just even your life story, if you didn't get into teaching after it at that 2018 point would have shown that.
Right.
But I think that is interesting what you're saying. Like it's hard. You can't learn if you're not fed or cared for first. So
right.
It kind of seems like you need to be in tune with those things with every student and make sure those needs are met before the learning can even begin in the classroom.
Right.
Do you, it's obviously very hard work and we don't want to belittle that, but is there any encouragement you'd give to people who worry like maybe that's not the amount of work I could take on?
I would say keep the faith and pray. Prayer is my number one go-to. Being a child of God, I go to God, and like I said, this wasn't my plan at all. This was not my plan. I was ready to continue to be a stay-at-home mom and just work at my church only. However, it was God's plan. God said to me, even with me saying, the kids are just bad, and I don't like to say the word bad, I say misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that you have to have that rock to hold on to in order to keep something like this going, realizing the kids need us. And if they don't have us, who do they really have? We need something as a loving community for our youth. It's too many of them leaving this world at such a young age. And when I hear it on the news and I say, I have kids this age, what can I do as an individual outside of being a teacher, a mom, a youth director? What can I do to keep these babies out of harm's way? I think of different things and I just ask God, and I'm like, God be like, just stay at Creston. You're good. They need you at Creston. Stay there. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. Then I hear my dad talking to me because he was the same way. He loved children.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where I got this from, the love that my dad had for children. It's the same way. My dad and mom were both foster parents as well. So I think that's another reason why I'm in the situation that I am in.
Has it kind of turned into that an extension of your work as the youth director at your church, which you still do, 6 days a week? Has it kind of turned into an extension of that work that you already were doing?
Yes, it does. Because actually at church, I have kids at church that be like, can I come over? And I'm like, Lord have mercy. No, not this weekend. At church on Sundays, if we're not doing children's church in the back with the youth, I have like a whole row of kids just sitting with me at church. And I'm like, their parents be like, they don't have to sit with you. I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. After even like was my pastor, he saw the clip in yesterday and he called me. He said, that was amazing. So just like I will say this over and over again, you have to have a love for children in order to do what I do, because if not, it wouldn't work. I hear teachers complain daily and I'm like, well, why are you here? Like I really question it. Why are you here? Whether the kids are acting up or not, you continue to come back. So is it just for the paycheck, which yes, we all have bills. However, if you don't have that love and can't give the kids the nourishing care that they need while in your care for the 8 hours that they're here, this job is not for you.
Well, clearly you have that love for the children. And I do hope, I know it was a lot of attention on you, I hope you felt some of that love from them back at you, because I was amazed. I'm the one that goes through the initial nominations, and I was amazed to see so many nominations from kids and students. I mean, you got almost, I did my best to count them out. I think you got a total of 49. So I said almost 50 nominations for this award.
I did find out a secret of how I even got nominated.
Okay.
I have a daughter in high school, and she's in the publications classes over there.
Okay.
And I think they were showing like little clips of Channel 8, and she seen the nominee thing come across the screen. And she said, Mom, I bet I can tell you how this came about. And her teacher, she emailed her teacher, and her teacher emailed me. And she said, do you even know why you got nominated or how? And I'm like, I didn't even know about this stuff. She said, well, your daughter asked me, do I think it would be a good idea, just to send. So a lot of the students here lives in my neighborhood. So with her walking the neighborhood with my other daughters and stuff, they were telling all the kids, hey, check this link out and stuff like that. And then they reached out to two of the teachers here to help push the word. And it was like, hey, they got this thing going for nominees for Channel 8, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, so when you guys walked in and you was like, Miss Angela Grace, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Well,
she's like, Mom, you do so much for so many people. Even in the summertime, the students that lives in the neighborhood, they'll come over and sit on the deck with my kids and everything like that. They be like, Miss Grace, you got some popsicles. So I keep popsicles in the summertime for the students in the neighborhood because I know they're coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, her mission clearly worked. I was really impressed, and I loved seeing every single one. We couldn't even highlight them all, obviously, but it was really nice seeing all of the nominations from the students. You could feel that they love you too. And I hope with all of this, you felt some of that love with the story. And I know it was a lot. But
I had parents actually reaching out to me on Facebook, sending me messages, and they're like, my child talks about you so much at home, and I've never met you in person. I know we do communicate through email when something's going on. There's like, my kids really, really love you. I had a set of parents yesterday at the basketball game come in with this big old package for me. And that was another embarrassing crying moment. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm just glad, the families, I've built so many relationships with the moms and dads to where they'll call me on a weekend. Hey, Miss Grace, we're doing a barbecue. You and your family can come over. I've gained a lot of family from my students, and I love it.
Oh, well, I am so glad to hear that you're feeling that love, and we loved telling your story. So thank you again for letting us surprise you, bombard you, and for this conversation today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Congratulations to Mrs. Grace, aka Coco. She truly is a safe space for students, and it was a joy to surprise her. From Wish TV, I'm Hannah Mordeau. We're going to continue honoring teachers in Central Indiana who go above and beyond to make a difference in children's lives. So if you know a teacher who deserves recognition, please nominate them for the Golden Apple Award. It is so easy to do. Just send in a detailed nomination at wishtv.com/goldenapple and listen for the next winner right here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The Wish TV Golden Apple Awards are sponsored by WGU. Nominate a teacher and learn more at wishtv.com now. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast and discover even more great podcasts now on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.